Hello and welcome to Draft Thunder. I'm Andrew,
I'm Ben. That's John Claude.
and we're here to discuss Week 1 of NFL regular season. So this is going to be the Sunday slate. If you haven't seen our Thursday slate, and it is still before Thursday, please go over and check it out.
Check it out.
But if not, we're here to dive into Sunday slate.
Main slate.
Yep, main slate. So we aren't going to be doing Sunday night, I don't believe. That's not on DraftKings.
No.
And it's not on FanDuel. So we're only going to be doing up to the 4 o'clock games. And through those, so let's just jump right into it. Who do you like at quarterback this week?
All right. So I think I've talked about him probably ad nausea at this point throughout multiple videos. But one of my top plays for Week 1, I've talked about it 3-4 weeks ago. It's going to be Kirk Cousins. I'm not fading off of him at all. I love this matchup for him. I love his weapons. His offensive line should be improved as long as he stays off of his back. He will be able to throw the ball to Thielen, to Diggs, and to Dalvin Cook. Plus, they have their tight ends in Kyle Rudolph and their rookie tight end Irv Smith, who looks to factor into the passing game as well. Updated weapons, increased standability, if you would. He won't be sacked as much, we hope. In an up-tempo game against Atlanta, I just really like this matchup here for Kirk.
Okay, yeah. I like Kirk too. He's about the right price range you want to for
That's the other thing is he's below guys like Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray on DraftKings. In that lower tier quarterback range at 5,500, that's really affordable for a guy that could go out and throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Definitely. So, guy I'm going to move on to is obviously Lamar Jackson because we got to say him. But he's a guy who can really do it all. We think that they are trying to throw more, so we should see a little more improved in the passing game through the offseason. He looks a little better passing in the third game of the preseason. And really, he offers just so much running capability and the rushing touchdown possibility of getting those 6 points. And where he's at price range, being below guys like Carson Wentz, Philip Rivers, Dak Prescott, he's also $7,400. So that, in my opinion, is way too much of a value play for the safe floor that he options with his rushing game. That, honestly, he can put up that high upside. He could put crazy high upside, but I think he's also very safe for cash games if you're going to go that route. I think he's a solid play across the board going against Miami.
Yeah, I would agree. On DraftKings, you're not getting as much value for him. He's 100 below Matt Ryan. He's right above Philip Rivers, so probably not as much value as you would want out of him there. But the rushing upside, as we talked about before, is just so huge for the quarterbacks in these slates. If he rushes for a touchdown, it's just massive. So yeah, moving on. The next guy I'm going to talk about is right below Kirk on DraftKings, and that's going to be Matthew Stafford. Originally, on paper, this is an awful matchup for Matt Stafford. He did not do well against the Cardinals last year. Fast forward to this year. You won't have Pat Pete back there as he's suspended. Robert Alford got hurt. I believe he's done for the year. So they're without their top 2 corners, and honestly, I think their third corner's out as well, but I'm not 100% sure there. But without their top 2 corners, they still have Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay. It looks to even improve on his last year. He has weapons with the tight end now and T.J. Hawkinson. Kerryon Johnson out of the backfield. He has weapons. He's a guy that's proven himself before. He's not the sexiest play by any means, but another one of those guys that can go out and throw for 300 yards. Again, and we talk about an up-paced game. Arizona. I was thinking of Cliff Kingsbury right there. Is saying that he wants to run 90 to 95 plays a game. That's all fine and great for the other side of the ball, because that means that they have to run just as many plays or at least keep up with them in the scoring. I expect Stafford to have to throw a lot here. It should be a pretty tight game. And with the up-paced game, I think Stafford will have a really nice game at a pretty depressed ownership, I would think, here.
Yeah, Stafford has always been a guy who puts up pretty good fantasy numbers. So I think that he is a great play. It's definitely a good situation because people are going to look at that matchup and see the red, whatever it is. What does it say right now?
I think 10.
Yeah, 10. But just being red and they see Arizona, they're like, ooh, Pat Pete, stuff like that. They get scared.
And they might know about Pat Pete. It's the Alford news that's really big. And knowing that, not having those top 2 corners is huge. They still have a decent defense, but I think he'll really be able to pick them apart.
Yeah, definitely. So the last guy that I only have 2 really because I also like his plays, but Josh Allen is going against the Jets, who aren't one of the best secondaries, but I basically like him because of the price he's at. He serves pretty good value. I'm just trying to confirm where he's at. Yeah, he's 6'9" on FanDuel, so that's below Jimmy G, 200 above Sam Darnold, and he offers that rushing capability. A lot of his game relies on the rushing game. He sees that gap through the middle, linebackers off, and he goes through. So I just like him for his price basically in this matchup, and I think he serves the value that you need. I still probably lean Lamar Jackson a little more and Stafford, but I think he'll be a good person to mix in the lineups.
Jamal Adams is a dog in that New York Jets secondary. But as you just talked about, Josh Allen's game isn't going to be because he throws the ball a ton. It's going to be his rushing upside again. So not a bad play there. He's priced 200 above, 100 above Kirk on DraftKings, right below Carson Wentz, in line with Kyler Murray. So if guys are going for the more sexy plays of Garoppolo and Kyler, it could be a good low weight play as well. So I'm just going to talk about two more quarterbacks here. Guys, I'm not going to roster a ton. Jameis Winston is too high for my price liking at quarterback, as with Andrew Luck now being out. He's a second price quarterback on this slate right behind Mahomes. However, he is in a A++++ matchup this week with Chris Godwin, who's supposed to be really, really good, and Mike Evans, obviously. And in their new offensive scheme, as Tampa Bay's talked about throughout the offseason. So I like him here. His price is a little too hefty for me. I'll probably run that stack somewhere in my lineups, as they don't really have a running game. Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones just aren't anything. So they're going to throw a lot. Jameis offers that rushing upside. Again, the price is just too expensive for me to really throw out there. But I will probably run the stack with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jameis Winston, though that is a pretty high price stack this week due to all the hype around them. And the final one I'm going to talk about here is Nick Foles. Again, I'm on record saying I'm not a huge Nick Foles fan. However, he's priced at 5,200, which is below the guys I've talked about so far. And again, we're talking about an up-pace matchup with Kansas City, a team that we're thinking he's going to have to keep up with. I know the spread's only about 4 right now, which is a little shady to me, given where they were last year. I don't know if they're overvaluing Nick Foles or they really do think it's going to be a close game. Whatever the case may be, you would expect Kansas City to at least put up 28 points or so, 24 points. Foles is going to have to keep up with that. Does Jacksonville run the ball to try to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands? There's a possibility. I still think Foles has to throw the ball 25 to 30 times here. At 5,200, that's really all you need. If he throws a couple in the end zone, as long as he stays away from the interceptions, I think he's a decent play. Again, I don't love him. I'll sprinkle him in a few of my lineups, but just I thought too low of a price for a guy going against not a great Chiefs secondary, and in an up-pace matchup where he has to keep up with Mahomes.
Yeah, I definitely like him there too. Those are all pretty good, solid plays, we think, for the prices that they're at. But yeah, let's move on to running back. So I'm going to start off with one guy who I really, really like because he's just in a good system, and that's Chris Carson. So the Seahawks ran the ball a lot last year, and they said they want to run the ball even more this year. I think I already said that in preseason talk, but it's just a fact. The Bengals were second worst against running backs in 2018. All of our stats are based on 2018 because that's what we have to work with. But they can change a little bit and change as much as they can, but that won't necessarily take effect into week one, which we're going to save for a lot of this stuff. We're going off the stats that we have. And Chris Carson is a pretty safe play, in my opinion. He apparently has been said by Pete Carroll. I said this too, but he has the best hands on the team, apparently, to Pete Carroll. So they are going to use him in the passing game and the run game very heavily. I expect him to have an even better year than he had last year. And through running backs, he is in a good price range too, honestly. He's a little bit below Kerryon Johnson, a little bit above Eckler, Mark Ingram. So, I think he's a top-tier talent in a mid-tier price range. And I think that he could be an explosive play here against the Bengals.
Yeah, I think what you'll see through most of our running back plays here is there's a clump right in that 54 to 6,200 range at running back where there's 12 good options that the field is going to kind of split on. It's about which ones you're convicted on and which ones you think will do the best and which ones we kind of picked out. And so for my guy, I like Chris Carson. He was one of the guys I wrote down. From my side as well, but Andrew took him early. Here, I really like him. If you think about game script, Seattle's favored by about 11 points. They're going to run the ball. I'm sure Penny will be mixed in, but it really sounds like they love Chris Carson and that he's going to get a lion's share of the carry, especially early. Get some targets out of the backfield. I mean, Russell Wilson doesn't have a ton to throw to. They just had to re-sign Jerron Brown to become their number 2 receiver. It's a little ugly for Russ. I expect Carson to be used heavily here, get out to a big lead. Hopefully he runs late into the game, continues, and they don't just jump to Penny, but I think Carson's going to see like 20 touches at least. So yeah, a huge upside at that price point. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, running back this week is Dalvin Cook. I know I talk about Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, but I love this stack with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. It's a little bit contrarian, a little bit weird to do a quarterback with a running back, but I love the idea of getting the Minnesota Vikings touchdowns and having all of them, a piece of all of them. Dalvin Cook is going to be a 3-down plus goal line running back. He's going to play the whole game. There's no one that's really challenging him for his spot. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to be used on the goal line. I expect a huge year out of him. They're going to want to run the ball, set the tone early so that they can open up the passing game for Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and those guys. But when we talk about Atlanta, we have said this for multiple years, and it might change this year because I know Dan Quinn is now taking over as defensive coordinator, but I think they scheme it up where they want the running back to catch the ball, where they kind of fend off the outside, and they just allow the running back to do what he wants because they think that can't hurt them. That's great and all, and they've done decent with it. They went to a Super Bowl. It's great for us. The running back will catch the ball out of the backfield against Atlanta. It's happened every year. It happens every game. Dalvin Cook is in a perfect situation to do that. Plus, you're going to get the ability to run the ball 20 times, get those 6 to 7 targets out of the backfield, hopefully get in the end zone. Matching him with Kirk this week, I think, is a really good move and a pretty savvy play.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook was one of my other plays too. We're kind of on the same page here with the running backs this week, but really, that's a good point with the whole catching back against Falcons thing. It's something that we've been looking at for the past few years, as you said. Obviously, James White in that Super Bowl went absolutely off for her reason, and that cost him the game. So, I guess what I'm going to talk about is the value guys that you have on the slate. So really a big way to open up a lot of cap space is when you play the value guys. Because the rosters and the pricing came out so early, you have those guys like Zeke's holdout. Then that opens up the space for Pollard, who's super low priced. Same thing with Melvin Gordon. You have Eckler, who's a little higher because he's shown what he has, but he's also an interesting play, even though he's not as value as the other guys. And then you have Devin Singletary. So you have to think about what you're going to do with those guys and who you're going to play in what situations. I would say out of those three in the order, because of the matchups, if there's no Zeke, Pollard would be the best play. But after that, I would go Singletary and then Eckler. That's just based on the matchups and how they're going to perform. The only problem that I'd be wary of is Singletary. We don't know exactly what he has. We kind of know what Eckler has. But one thing to say about the Eckler situation is the Chargers this week play the Colts, who we expect the Chargers to win that game, I would say.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Eckler has been known as a passing back, so they might want to see more of Justin Jackson, see what he has in this game, since they also know what they have out of Eckler more, and maybe those guys who are a little further into the depth chart, we might not see as much of Eckler as we want. So I think in that order that I said, Pollard, Singletary, Eckler, if Zeke's out, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, I will say Eckler took about, when Melvin was out last year, when Eckler played and started, he had about 65 to 68% of the workload, I want to say, in terms of running back snaps. But still a little bit more passing down work. He proved himself to be a decent running back. He's nothing special. He's pretty solid. A starting caliber running back, I would say. And honestly, it looks like Melvin's not going to play for the Chargers this year. So a guy that we'll be looking at week over week if he continues to be low priced. But yeah, I don't know how much ownership of him I'll have this week. I'll mix him in, as he does have that catching upside, especially out of the backfield. Pollard, again, he's almost an auto play if Zeke doesn't come back. If Zeke comes back and is going to start, obviously, we're going to get rid of Pollard. But if in that case, I'm still not jumping on Zeke. I just want to see it first. Holding out all training camp usually means a slow start. But yeah, I like Pollard a lot if Zeke doesn't play. I drafted him in all my leagues, actually. So I'm hoping Zeke doesn't show up. And that 4,400 or 4,500 on DraftKings, that's just about as easy of a play as you can get to open up your lineup. All right. I have 1.5 more running backs. Another one I'm really high on this week is Nick Chubb. So sort of breaking out of that 6,000 range, but still only at 6,400 on DraftKings, right above Damian Williams, who we know is now maybe entered into a split with LaShawn McCoy.
Scary.
Who knows about that situation? So, the thing with Nick Chubb is I think a lot of people are going to want to play Baker. They want to play Odell. That's fine. Let them do it. They might have a good game, but I really like Nick Chubb in this spot. I expect Cleveland to come out really excited there at home, show the fans what they can do, and I think Nick Chubb's going to see a lot of work here. Again, another 3-down running back plus goal line. Obviously, Kareem Hunt will be there in 10 weeks or so, but right now that doesn't matter. And one of the things that I found was that when Cleveland runs up the middle, they do it about 55% of the time. They average about 4.5 yards per carry. So pretty fair. That was about top 10 throughout the league. And Tennessee gives up about 5 yards per carry when run up the middle, and that happened about 55% of the time last year, so a pretty even match right there. That was about 28th in the league. So if they can really utilize their interior linemen, let Nick Chubb sort of in those inside zones, things of that nature, take off, I really, really think he'll do well, break out some big runs. He's also capable out of the backfield, as we've seen. So Nick Chubb, you don't really have to pay up for him. He's 6,400 on DraftKings. He's still, maybe 10th or so on the price list. I love that. I think he'll have a really, really nice game here.
Yeah, I completely agree. And he is, like Ben said, there's nobody on the roster who's going to even match him. Like, he's going to get all the playing time in the world probably with them. So that's an exciting play for me and probably one of our most analyzed ones.
Yeah, and the last one, I don't know. I'm really drawn to Le'Veon Bell. I like his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Buffalo gave up about, I want to say it was like 130 targets or so to running backs out of the backfield last year. My number might be a little high, but it was over 100, and it was like third most in the league. I think Le'Veon, we've seen it, he's like the best receiving back in the league, maybe outside of Saquon now and Christian McCaffrey, but in that top tier. And so I think the 1 point per reception on DraftKings really draws me to him this week. I don't know how he's going to mess with the Jets. I don't know how much they're going to run him week one. These are things that are unknown as he enters into a new team coming off of a year where he didn't even play. So who knows how he's going to come out. But a guy I'm going to mix in a little bit to get some exposure to him, and a guy I think will do really well. I just want to see it first before I really, really go full all the way in. But at 7,100, I mean, he's 1,700 less than Christian McCaffrey this week, which is insane for a guy of Le'Veon Bell's talent. So a guy I'm going to be mixing in definitely on DraftKings with that PPR.
Also a guy people are going to be scared of.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're going to be scared, but then the price point's good for him, so it's kind of good both ways. But yeah, I agree. He's worth some exposure, definitely, at that price, because you'll still have room to work with your lineup. A guy who's also worth exposure, who is not going to give you as much room as Saquon, you got to consider him. He could have a beast game against the Cowboys. Just if you can find a point, like if Zeke's not playing and you can play Pollard and Singletary and get those higher or lower price guys, put in some higher price guys, he would be one of the ones to shoot for.
Yeah, I know I have a couple of receivers that'll give you some room if you wanted to get all the way up to Saquon.
Oh, I have one. I have one really good.
I also have one that is really low price, but we'll get to that. But a guy that just always, I think he got less than 17 like once or twice last year. Like a guy that gives you just such a solid floor and a good base to start your lineup. And he's going to be the cheapest he is going to be all year most likely. He'll probably break into that 10K range if I could assume in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, and just a point about week one. It's one of those weeks where there are so many guys and the price points are so small, or the price differences are so small because DraftKings is sort of pricing them. They don't really know what's going to happen. The players don't really know what's going to happen. We're making our best educated guesses, doing the best research we can. If you're convicted about someone, week one is the week to play them because ownership is going to be spread all the way like throughout all these players because everyone's going to be like, I like Leonard Fournette more than Dalvin Cook, whatever the case might be. So ownership's going to be all over the place. If you're really convicted about one of these plays, I would say go way overweight on it in week one because that's where you're going to find your best possible scenarios, your most winnings, because you went way overweight on the field as opposed to just, all right, I'll just mix in these guys. But if you really like, Dalvin Cook for me is a guy I'm going to be way overweight on the field on. I love him this week. And just one of those conviction plays where, as in other weeks, the price point might not match up. He might be a weird price where you can't get to him. All these guys you can get to. If you're really convicted about one of these plays, I say go way overweight on it.
I completely agree. And I guess let's just move around to wide receivers. Because we're kind of getting into it, but I'm gonna start with the guy who is an up and coming receiver. Kind of had some hype around last year, but I think this is really his year to shine. Is D.D. Westbrook. So he's a kind of slot guy for the Jags, but with the injuries that they've faced, he's kind of had to become the top guy. The last 3 games of the season, he got between 5 and 10 targets, so he sees a decent amount of targets, and he sees, like I said, a lot of time in the slot. The biggest weakness of the Chiefs' defense last year was the slot receiver. They are one of the worst in the league, so I think this is a really good spot for D.D. to shine. A new good quarterback with Nick Foles.
Decent quarterback.
Pretty good. He has not had much of a chance with his quarterbacks before, so
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, the boat.
Yeah, so really, I think that it's a good chance to get kind of a lower-owned guy and have a pretty good breakout game. I think he'll see somewhere between 8 and 10 targets and hopefully get in the end zone with 70-some yards. That would be what I expect out of him for that price, and I think it's just a good play.
Yeah, I like the D a little bit here. So I talked a little bit about my receivers through my quarterback, so I'll just go over some of the stacks I want to run this week. Mm-hmm. And if you want to take a shot at one of these guys kind of by themselves. So the first one is going to be that Lion stack with Stafford, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay. I like that without those Cardinals cornerbacks back there. If I were to pick one, I like Marvin Jones because of his price point. He's sub 5K this week. He's a guy that we've seen do well with Stafford. I know he's, again, not like none of these Lions guys are sexy plays. Like, they're just not a fun team to play on DraftKings. For whatever reason, they always seem to underperform.
I think Galladay is a sexy play.
Galladay's good. That's true. Galladay is good. And again, he's at a price point where you can easily get to him, and he would be fine by himself as well. He's at 6,300. But Marvin Jones is right there, just under 5K. So a good guy. He's at 48. Right above Christian Kirk. So a guy that if you wanted to save some salary and just play him by himself, I think is good, but I like that Lion stack a little bit to run in a couple lineups. The other stack that I talked about is that Tampa Bay stack. Again, it's a high price stack. It's going to be tough to get to all these guys. If you wanted to play one of them, I think Mike Evans has an elite matchup this week. He doesn't always perform in these matchups, but he's one of those guys that can get you like 2 to 3 touchdowns because of his size and his ability to catch the ball in the red zone. He is a really, really good receiver. So I think he'll be one of the guys that if I can find the salary for, I'm going to pay for him at 7,900. He's my favorite guy to pay up for at receiver this week. So I think if you wanted to play one, Godwin is at that 6,200 range or so. It's high price for a guy that hasn't proven himself. But I like that stack as well in another elite matchup. I'm going to go on and talk about some of the solo receivers here. So one guy here who's really, really, really low price. It's 3,200, I believe, on DraftKings, and that's Rashad Higgins. I talked about Nick Chubb earlier, and how people are going to want to play, Baker and Odell and maybe Jarvis. Higgins has a really, really good chemistry with Baker.
A ridiculous one.
I think 70% completion, both last season and in the preseason. He came on late last year. He's going to run that. Odell's going to run on the one side as the number one receiver. Jarvis going to run slot. That leaves Higgins open to run the other side and on the receiver side. There's no Callaway right now. He's the guy that they need to kind of step up and be that other receiver. He's the forgotten one. Everyone's going to be focused on, how do we stop Baker? How do we stop Odell? How do we stop Jarvis? How do we stop Njoku? How do we stop Nick Chubb? Okay.
Are we taking the Browns week 1?
You might be. Yeah. And then you look at Rashard Higgins there, and it's like, so he finished up last season against Cincinnati, 7 targets, 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. And against that tough Ravens secondary, he had 4 catches on 6 targets for 86 yards. At 3,200, I will take that any day of the week in a pretty good matchup as Tennessee ranked bottom 5 against number 2 receivers last year, and as well as the number 2/3. They were like bottom 5, bottom 10. Yeah. So I love this matchup for him. He's a guy that you can throw in, and you can just build your lineup around. You can get to guys like Saquon because of it. I love it at a really, really cheap price.
I completely agree. He is a really good play. It's weird. Like him and Baker, they just have something that Baker doesn't really have with the other receivers that I've seen at least. He just goes to him line. has shown a lot with him.
They're going to want to get Odell the ball early. They don't want to piss Odell off in week 1, I don't think. But I think Higgins is just going to be that guy that's going to be open. Like, he's just going to be open on most of those plays. And 7 targets for a guy that's 200 above minimum is absolutely insane to me.
And, like, wherever that game's getting played, in Cleveland and Tennessee, and, like, he's probably not going to be highlighted, but he could be the best receiver, second best receiver, something like that, and I like him a lot. The other value guy that I have is an ugly play. It seems like such an ugly play, but I think I love it, and that's Randall Cobb. Yes, Randall Cobb for Dallas now.
I hate Dak Prescott.
He has been said to be their slot guy, and Ben saying he hates Dak Prescott is a great point because, as he said, he can't throw more than 10 yards. Guess who's going to be open 10 yards downfield in a slant? Randall Cobb in the slot. So, one thing that can be said about Dak Prescott, he loved Cole Beasley last year against the Giants, who are really bad against the slot receiver, which is what attracted me to Randall Cobb before I even looked at the stats for Cole Beasley. But last year he went 6 for 91 or 94 and a touchdown against the Giants.
In the second game, that was with the game with Amari Cooper.
And I would say they're pretty similar, Cole Beasley and Randall Cobb, like the same kind of build. Soft receivers.
I don't know. Cole Beasley could take a hit.
I agree. But yeah, so it's like the same kind of guy you're getting out of Randall Cobb. A good price range, 5,000 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DraftKings, and a guy who's definitely going to go underowned. People are not going to be expecting Randall Cobb, and if he turns out a good game like that game Cole Beasley did, that could be a sneaky play for GPP.
Absolutely, and it's good with or without Zeke, but the point I would make, if it's without Zeke, Dak doesn't have that check. I mean, I don't know how Pollard is exactly out of the backfield, but it's not like Zeke where he can just check it down and you can get 6-7 yards out of it. Randall Cobb could become that guy that's just in the middle of the field. I mean, what's he going to do? Check it down to Jason Witten. The dude's going to be commentating the game while he's running the play. I'm running a post route. I don't know what he's going to... come on. Randall Cobb's going to be that guy that he's going to look to, I think, along with Amari. But the Giants are going to be keyed on Amari, I think, in this game. So I like Cobb there as a value play. Again, I have one more receiver here, and that's Robert Woods. Nice, Indians. George Springer got carted off, by the way.
I saw.
Okay.
Ben Live's dead in the water.
Anyway, Robert Woods. So it's really tough to pick a Rams receiver in the past. And, again, that could be the case here. What I'm looking at is Carolina is very good against number 1 receivers, who I think will be Brandon Cooks. He just is that number 1 guy. Robert Woods always kind of gets no love. He's a guy that just kind of goes out there, does what he does, catches 6 balls for 100 yards and calls it a day.
Fine, I'll take it.
And exactly,
I'll take
it's
it.
literally like, oh, look, Robert Woods got me 16 points. Cool, whatever. That's just so casual for him. Against number 2 receivers, the Panthers were bottom 5, maybe bottom 6. Not too good against them. I expect them to really be, or Robert Woods to really be open here. I believe Cooper Kupp's going to play out of slot this game. I'm not too worried about that. He'll do what he can do. And then obviously we'll see about that running game with Gurley. I expect this game to be pretty competitive. I think the Panthers will be in it. They'll be hyped up to play the defending NFC champions. But I think Robert Woods will be that open guy for Jared Goff to go to in his situations, and I think he'll do nicely here. Again, one of those games where it's just like, oh, look at that, he did it again. 16 to 20 points. Just easy.
Yeah. No, Robert Woods is always a very solid play. I have one last receiver, and that's kind of a guy you can pay up for, and a guy who I think is in that upper price range, but he's definitely going to be the least owned. So it's T.Y. Hilton. And you have Julio, Odell, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, and Tyreek all in that same price range. And I would say T.Y. Hilton's probably, with the naked eye, the least attractive next to Keenan Allen, if I were to say.
I mean, he's least attractive by far.
Yeah.
Just the quarterback situation, obviously.
No, I completely agree. But the Chargers, one of their biggest weaknesses is the deep ball. They are literally the last ranked defense against the deep ball. So that is T.Y.'s bread and butter here. And really, I think with Brissett, he's going to be the safety net. T.Y.'s going to be a safety net, so he's going to be if he's getting pressured or if he just needs that first down, he's going to be looking T.Y.'s way and trying to build that chemistry and relationship. My problem is it might not be there yet, and Brissett could do really bad in this game. But the game flow is they're going to be down probably. They're going to be passing a lot. So Ty could really be a good guy to look for here. He could be a good guy to pay up for. It's a little more risky, but I think he will go under owned, and if he has a good game, it could pay out for you.
The ownership is going to be very low on him because of the quarterback situation. I don't. Andrew Luck is definitely better than Jacoby Brissett. Don't get it twisted. But I don't think Brissett is that bad. I think he can easily lead them to 8-8. Playoffs might be a stretch, but 8-8, 9-7, 7-9. I think he can do that. I think he's a fine quarterback, and he just got extended. He got paid. He was going into his final year of his deal, and the Colts showed some pretty good faith in him by paying him $15 million over the next 2 years, or $30 million total. So that gives him confidence going into this game. Nobody thinks they can win this game. Nobody thinks they can compete with Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Their win total dropped to 6.5 from a 9.5. The spread went from 3 to 9. Nobody thinks they can compete here. Ty is that shot play. He is that guy that if he catches a deep one, he can really set you apart in your lineups. And again, he's going to go really, really under-owned because no one's going to like the quarterback situation. A guy I'm not going to roster too much because I'm a little scared.
And it's taking a lot of your cap away. So
it's risk versus reward here. On DraftKings, it's a little bit more feasible. He's below Amari Cooper. He's below both Vikings receivers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good price in there.
So, yeah, not a bad price for you there. But, again, risk versus reward here. Throw him in a couple lineups. I think he is very capable of having a nice game, but he's also very capable of sort of just being the odd man out with Jacoby, if Jacoby just looks to check the ball down the whole game. So, yeah, some risk versus reward there. So, yeah.
That's it for my receivers. Are you done too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be done.
Okay. So we will go into tight ends, and then we'll do defenses real quick. I'm going to go through my 2 tight ends I have just to run through them because I know we're getting deep in this video, and you guys probably want to get out of here watching it. So I have Hunter Henry for the Chargers. So this is a tough play because obviously he's coming off his big injury. But the Colts are bottom 5 against tight end in 2018, and he isn't in a good tight end situation, really, with the Chargers. The only tight end behind him is Virgil Green, who has been all over the place with where he's been. It's just, he is not good.
It's okay.
He is not good. So really, Hunter Henry had a really good year for the Chargers before he got hurt, and I expect him to pick right up where he left off. The only thing that scares me is his playing time. I don't know if they're going to hold him back a little bit, but I feel like they're not because he got that whole year of rest. They haven't said he's had any setbacks. He's right in that price with Ebron on FanDuel, so he's definitely up there. He's up to the mid-tier, like the top of the mid-tier, but I think he has a solid game because of the Colts defense, and I think he can see a lot of targets here.
Yeah, I would agree. I love Hunter Henry as a player.
It's just week 1 is kind of risky for him.
It is, but I think he should do fine in that matchup. I think, especially if they can't establish the run. Early on. So yeah, go to your. Do you have one more?
Oh yeah, sorry. And then I also have Delaney Walker. So the Browns are bottom 10 against tight end in 2018. So the Titans, like we said, should go down this game against the Browns. I really think we're expecting the Browns to win over here. So I'm kind of But so yeah, they should be forced to pass, and I really just like where he's at in price. Like Delaney Walker has been one of the best tight ends in the league for a while now, and he is below Austin Hooper and Njoku, Mark Andrews. He's at the same price as Jordan freaking Reed, who's a mess. It's just, I think his price right here is too good to pass on for tight end. I think he's a solid, pretty safe play when it comes to tight ends. He'll probably get you those 5 to 6 catches for at least 40, 50 yards. They love to look him in goal line. So yeah, I just think he'll be a really good play here for the price. What's up, Brian? Okay.
Anyway. So I'll go into my tight ends.
Okay.
First tight end I'm going to talk about here is Greg Olsen. So again, we talked about Carolina playing against the Rams. They're playing at home. And again, we talked about this being a competitive game. So I believe that Greg Olsen should be a pretty solid play here. One of the and the White Sox tied the game. Awesome. All right. Anyway. So I think Greg Olsen is one of Cam's favorite targets. DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are very, very unproven. They have a lot of hype. That's awesome. They're really fast. They can catch balls, but they're unproven at this point. Greg Olsen's going to be Cam Newton's security blanket next to Christian McCaffrey, obviously. But hopefully if DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel do decent, they'll open it up the middle of the field for Greg Olsen here. Plus, the Rams don't cover the tight end or didn't cover the tight end very well last year. So I really like Greg Olsen here in this game. I also like George Kittle. I mean, he's really, really high priced. So if you're going to pay for tight end, which I really don't recommend doing typically, but he's in a pretty great matchup here against Tampa Bay, who just cannot cover anybody really. But especially the tight end, Garoppolo is going to be looking for Kittle to kind of catch the ball and run with it, as he can do. Could be an interesting flex play, although I know we talked about a few times having tight end at flex doesn't always pay off, or doesn't usually pay off, honestly. But you can mix him in. He's pretty much a receiver, but at 6,600, he's kind of tough to get to even at flex. But a guy that if you play some of our value guys and really feel confident in Kittle going for 100 yards and a touchdown, I think you can mix him in your lineups.
Yeah, and if you're playing on DraftKings and you're looking at 6,600, like you're looking at like Brandon Cooks, T.Y. Hilton, Diggs, and obviously he's got that talent compared to the volume he gets in that lineup. So he's definitely an interesting play if you want to put him in flex too. I think that's all. Is that your last item?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just jump right into defense. And how many do you have? I only have one.
I have like 3.
Okay, you have like 3, sure. But I guess ours overlap because I know you have at least one of mine. But my top defense is the Browns. Yes, the Browns.
Is this the official Cleveland Browns podcast?
It is the official Cleveland Browns podcast. And
No, it's not.
if you are listening, please, you should probably take their line. I'm not sure what their line is.
It's like 6, I think.
Oof. I think they still cover it because obviously we talk about multiple sides of the offense's ball for Cleveland, but really the defense should do really well here. So the pass rush against the Titans' offensive line should do fantastic. They are horrendous. Like we said in preseason, Taylor Lewan, their left tackle, is suspended, so he won't even be playing in this game. And I can't completely remember which team the Titans were playing. I don't remember. It was like week 3, week 4. They gave up like 10 sacks.
It was the Ravens. They gave up 11 sacks.
Yes. Okay, there it is. Yeah, and I think the Browns have equal or better pass rushers than us. It's about the same. Myles Garrett should feast on that right side for him. So I just like them a lot here. I think they'll get a lot of points in the sack game. And like we said, we don't really think about the score as much as the potential of getting those extra points.
Yep, absolutely.
And they have playmakers on the other side of the ball. So a lot to look at and like here for the Browns.
Yep. They should be pretty hyped up. I mean, they've been the most hyped team all the offseason, so I think they'll be pretty excited, and their fans will be pretty excited to see them play. So that's why we're kind of heavy on the Browns here. Mm-hmm. Going into some of my defenses, I really like the Ravens here. I mean, Miami's a train wreck. I know Fitzmagic has done some things before, especially last year against the Saints in Week 1. But the Ravens' defense was one of the top defenses last year. I know they lost a couple guys like Mosley and Suggs, but that doesn't bother me too much. They could have gotten better that way. The secondary got better with Earl Thomas. So hopefully some more interceptions. Sacks should come, a few of them. Miami also doesn't have a very good offensive line and just traded Laramie Tunsil, who was one of the top left tackles. So I really like the Ravens here. I also really like the Eagles. The Redskins just have no playmakers at this point. Case Keenum is meh. They just have they don't even have Jamison Crowder.
No,
that's the thing. Like they have Geis and Adrian Peterson and maybe Jordan Reed, but he has another concussion. It's a mess for Washington.
It's a mess. They
have nobody for Keenum to throw the ball to. The Eagles have a pretty good defense in their own, and should just really have a nice game here. I expect the Eagles. This will be a low-scoring game too. I expect the Eagles to win this game 24-10.
Yeah,
24-3.
Trey Quinn, Paul Richardson.
Right, just guys that you don't care about. And Keenum, like we said, is just okay. He has no rushing ability. The Eagles are not going to be scared in this game at all. I really like them here. Last one I'm going to talk about is a defense I'm going to be underweight on the field on, I think, and that's going to be the Chargers. I think everyone's going to see Jacoby Brissett starting now and think the Colts are going to be nothing and start the Chargers defense. Like we said, I think Jacoby Brissett is not that bad, and the Chargers defense is obviously a little bit lower priced because originally this was supposed to be an Andrew Luck matchup. But I think it's a defense you can play. They'll be fine. And that they have a very good defense. Derwin James is amazing. If Bosa will play on the defensive line, that defensive line will be really good. So I just think they're going to be a pretty good play, but I think they're going to be really, really high owned because of the quarterback situation. So defense I'm going to mix in a little bit, but I'm going to be under owned on the field on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And a cheaper defense I see on DraftKings that we didn't really talk about, but slightly considering is a Seahawks defense.
Yeah.
Just not too many options for the Bengals either. With AJ Green out, they have Tyler Boyd, but the Seahawks are looking to bring back the 12th man. You get that stadium going. So they are at home, and it is tough to play in that stadium.
And I think Jadavian will play.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If I'm playing that defense, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just our defense to think about. But yeah, I really like our odds this week.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like our plays. I think we have a good mix of high plays, lower end value guys who should see a lot of volume and get a lot of points. We'll see.
It'll be good.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Sunday. So really, I guess that's it for our plays, and we'll just talk about what we have to come. So if you watch our Thursday video, we now have a partnership with Draft Dashboard. So they are a very exciting tool that we are using. It is only $1 for the first month when you use our link. It's only $1. So if you see those websites to put in your players and then make those lineups, generate them for you, this is a way to take down GPPs because you play like a $1, you do like 20 lineups out of like the 10 players you like, but you don't know where to put them, mix and match. This is a really good tool for it, and I'm going to pull it up for you guys. So that is this right here. That is our link to be used. So you basically have your watch players on this list, and this is for the Thursday slate, but you would take them, optimize your lineups by doing Match Lineup Generator. I think we might do a tutorial video for people who need it, but when you go on the website, they literally do a tutorial for you. So you can pick how many lineups, randomness, unique players per lineup, so that's a way to make sure they're distributed well. Projected points, maybe don't worry about that. More exposure, less exposure, a little bit in between. And then get rid of the expanded pool so they don't put in random players for you. There's a lot of good tools that you see in this. And another thing to consider is they also have good information. They have target share, stuff like that, sleepers and studs. So I'm going to let this generate and finish before we keep going. But they just have a lot of good tools that you can use to be successful and that we're definitely going to use. And you cannot beat $1 for the first month out there. Like, there are a lot of, like, 1 week trials maybe for free, like stuff like that. But $1 for an entire month, you will make that back in a double up, a $1 double up that will be beginner level.
Yeah.
Like, it should be so easy for you. Like, basically, you can't really beat this tool. And while sharing lives, I'll go back to it. But it's something we're very excited about, and we're excited with our partnership with them. That being said, we are going to do something very interesting this first week. So if you sign up using our link and you DM us on Twitter a screenshot showing us that you have signed up with our link and you are now a part of Draft Dashboard, we are going to put you in a specialty contest, send you an invite to it, and it is going to be us two against you and whoever else joins. So it could be just you against us if you get lucky.
Yeah.
But if like a bunch of people sign up, it could be like maybe like 10 people against us.
Yeah.
And
30, 40, hopefully.
Yeah, 30, 40, probably.
Hopefully. Do
whatever. Fine, do it. But basically, it'll be you against everybody else and us. And if you win the contest, so you build the best lineup, this will be Sunday main slate that we're going to do. So you have to get in, I'm going to say, by 10 o'clock Sunday morning?
Or no, just regular draft rules.
No, by the time you DM us.
Oh, yeah, DM us before Sunday. I'd say Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night. We might extend it, but
yeah,
10 o'clock Sunday morning is going to be the cutoff. I should be able to take care of it by then. But basically, if you DM us that, the winner of the contest, we don't have a huge budget, but for a free contest, if you're winning and it's against us two, maybe one other person, you get $10 PayPal, and that'll be the easiest withdrawal you'll ever see. It's a free contest. You might as well do it. You get the $1 for a great trial, and I think it's a good little promotion that we're doing, and it's an exciting thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want you to beat us.
Yeah, it'll be fun to go against you guys and as we give out our plays, and then see who you guys take from it, and the way you build lineups, and hopefully it'll be a fun little contest, and maybe we'll get a little sweat going against you guys, and hopefully it'll be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, again, $1, but you have to use our link.
What we don't want to see is you enter a lineup into that contest that could win like the Millie Maker and not play in the Millie Maker, so make sure you put in at least one paid contest.
Yeah, don't score 270 points against us and be like, oh, I won $10. That would suck.
Hey, you'll take it, though.
You go win $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that being said, For just transparency's sake, I won't be playing the Millionaire this week. It's just kind of random on DraftKings. It's $20, and I mean you can cash in it, but it's kind of random who hits big. I like the $9 slant. That's the one I'm going to be playing, and then some other ones as well. But that's the main one I'll be playing. So if you want to check us out, I have the Draft Thunder icon as my logo. You should do it too.
Yeah.
We want to see Draft Thunder on the leaderboard. So and like we said, use our link to sign up for Draft Dashboard.
I think you can go into our picture on Twitter. If you click it, you can probably just save it from there.
Yep.
And then upload it.
Exactly.
I know on FanDuel you have to do it on like a computer, which is kind of annoying. I couldn't get set up on my phone, but yeah, it'd be nice to see. That'd be exciting for us, and hopefully we can bring more promotions in the future. The more viewers we get, the more people that you invite, more subscribers, the more it can turn out for you. Maybe instead of $10, it will be like I don't know, something a little more like $20 or like a free like T-shirt or something. Right. If we get some merch going, who knows?
I want some merch. I want merch.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So just consider going into this week. So please check that out. Please sign up and please DM us, even if it's not about that. We'd like to get some DMs, some feedback.
Yeah.
Some players you like this week. We'd love to hear it all because that has been helpful in the past weeks, especially in the preseason. So
yeah, we're in the regular season now. I'm excited.
The grind starts. Big contest.
Yeah, let us know what else you want to see from us. If you'd be interested in us doing a live show leading up to Lock Sunday morning.
Yeah. That's definitely something that we're considering.
We want to do it, and we think we will, but we need the viewers to make it fun and interactive. So let us know if you tune in. If we do it and you see our notification pop up, please tune in. For whatever other content we have this week, make sure you subscribe to us. Maybe click the notifications on Twitter. But yeah.
Yeah. So good luck, and we look forward to seeing you soon.